Mike Johnson paints this as though it's some partisan witch hunt. But if you don't want to be prosecuted for crimes, don't do crimes.
Folks, that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on MS Now just the other day, absolutely torching Donald Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson for turning the Republican Party and our government into a protection racket for corrupt politicians and billionaires. All right, that's what's happening here. They have abused and manipulated our DOJ. And this is, by the way, why so many people want AOC to run for president, because we need real, meaningful accountability. All right, I'm going to play the rest of the clip in a second. Just bear with me. We have to make sure that we send every one of these people who abuse little girls and little boys on Epstein's Island, all the people who covered up for them, all the people who trafficked these kids, they all need to go to prison and be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. All of these people who have manipulated the market, who have stolen money from taxpayers in these no-bid contracts that Donald Trump is doling out, all these corrupt deals that Jared Kushner and Trump and Don Jr. and the rest of them are making with foreign governments, selling out the United States government, they all have to go to prison. I want to see them in orange jumpsuits. That's what AOC is talking about here. If you don't want to be prosecuted for crimes, don't do crimes. Let's play the rest of the clip.
And he's talking about running a protection racket. And we are already seeing that this Trump administration has run what some have called one of the largest protection programs in American history in the cover-up of the Epstein files. They violated the law when Congress mandated that they release the Epstein files. They're still hiding Epstein files, protecting some of the most gruesome behavior that is shocking to the human conscience. And so when Mike Johnson tells a group of wealthy donors, I'm the only thing standing between you and a consequence, that should rattle at the conscience of every American. What he wants to do is create, and rather not even create because it's already been created, but protect a class of impunity in America that say you can commit whatever crime, and so long as you pay a check to us, we will protect you.
And that's the bottom line. That's how things have worked in America for far too long. But under Donald Trump, it is now more obvious than ever. And I appreciate AOC for calling this out. We're celebrating this week America's 250th anniversary. Do you know what Donald Trump is planning to do on July 4th? He's going to release an unprecedented number, allegedly, of pardons that are going to come out, which means he's going to go pardon more cop beaters. He's going to go pardon more drug dealers. He's going to go pardon more white-collar criminals and pedos and God knows who else. And it's disgusting to me that that's what this government is doing. But Trump has done, I think, every good, decent human being in this country, which includes AOC, a favor. He has so brazenly exposed the way that this system has been manipulated and abused and created, by the way, to protect a small group of wealthy, well-connected individuals. His cover-up of the Epstein files, his brazen corruption and theft from the American people, it has made it impossible for anybody in this country to ignore, which gives us an opportunity to create a massive bipartisan wave of support for fixing the corruption that is at the rot of our government that makes it impossible for us to get anything done. And we can't do this again, where we have what happened after Nixon and Watergate, right? Where we're going to pardon the president and we're going to move on, or after the 2008 financial crisis, where nobody went to prison for that, which is a criticism I have of Barack Obama and his administration. I'll be fair to my side when they do it as well. That was wrong. We can't have it happen again with the Epstein files. We can't have it happen with the Trump administration. To be honest with you, you see this in terms of the bipartisan nature of this cause when you see people like Marjorie Taylor Greene out there agreeing with AOC. Here she is this week with Stephen A. Smith basically saying a pretty similar thing to what AOC is saying here about Trump's involvement in the Epstein files and what they're covering up.
Just shortly before we held that historic vote, he called me from the White House, and I was in my office in Rayburn, and he was telling me to take my name off the discharge petition. We were under tremendous pressure. You would not believe the pressure that the four of us, it was Thomas Massey, myself, Nancy Mason, Lauren Boebert, were the pressure that was put on us to take our names off the discharge petition. But he told me on that phone call that his friends would get hurt by the information that would come out. And so I can share that with you, and I think he was being honest about it. I would also suspect that there's a lot of intelligence information there, as well as very disturbing information that would be on prominent people in our society.
Do you have a reason to believe that one of those prominent people in our society that it would affect would be the president directly?
Possibly. Of course, I can't say for sure,
Right.
and I wouldn't say that, but given his behavior and how hard he's fought to stop the files, and the files still haven't been released, I think one could come to that conclusion.
I'll go ahead and let you know I've come to that conclusion. I think Donald Trump is acting guilty as sin on this and 1,000 other things. And look, I want to be clear. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not our friend and not our ally in this. She is still at her core the Jewish space lasers conspiracy theory lady, but even she cannot stomach what the United States government has turned into, okay? And so that's why she's made this heel turn now. A little bit, more than a little bit of it is about self-interest in her running for president. Same thing, by the way, with Stephen A. Smith, who continues to flirt with running for president. I don't really think either of these two are allies in the cause for bringing some decency and common sense back to our government, but I'll take whatever help I can get right now because I truly believe 70%, if not more, Americans understand this moment in time that we're in. We have never faced this level of corruption and abuse and manipulation of our system. There is a massive concentration of wealth and power in this country. And it is even more concentrated than I think it's basically ever been in the history of this country. It's really just a handful of wealthy billionaires who are manipulating our government, and they are squashing out like a bug anybody who speaks out against them. Look at what happened to Thomas Massie, a man that I basically have very little in agreement with on policy. I'm not even sure he believes there should be a federal government, okay? But if you lock me and that guy in a room, one thing we're going to agree on is we're going to talk about the need to release the Epstein files and break this class of people. And maybe MTG and maybe Stephen Smith are sincere about that. So I'm open to having a conversation about how we can do this, because breaking this class, resetting our criminal justice system, bringing some gravity back down to this class of people, we cannot allow trillionaires. And I can't believe there's a goddamn trillionaire in this country like Elon Musk to abuse our system. And Musk, by the way, is all over the Epstein files too, guys, okay? He said he had nothing to do with it. Then he gets caught begging Jeffrey Epstein to go to Island, okay? Same thing with Howard Lutnick, who's in Donald Trump's cabinet. Same thing with Trump himself, who lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, on and on and on. All of these people are lying. And they have full, total, and complete control of our government right now. But that's the key part of it. Right now, because they will not always be in power. The American people have an opportunity to restore some semblance of sanity and common sense back to our government. The first thing that we have to do, beyond delivering for the American people, because let's remember, I think it's just important to say this all the time, the reason people handed the keys of the kingdom to a fucking maniac like Donald Trump, who has no interest in helping them, who has no real plans or ideas on how to deal with any crisis in this country, from housing to groceries to anything else, healthcare especially, okay? Because healthcare prices in this country are absurd. As a small business owner, I'm like hurting really hard by the increase in healthcare prices this last year. I probably could have hired 2 more people at one of my companies on that alone, which is just really upsetting. Okay. They handed the keys to a man they didn't understand because the system was that broken. So when we get back into power, and I believe Democrats will get back into power, like the pendulum will swing back towards the Democratic Party as it has before, we have to be prepared to do 2 things: deliver for the American people immediately and hold these motherfuckers accountable. That's the bottom line here. There is no come together moment. There's no Jesus moment. There's no stepping back and going, for the good of the country, we're not going to blah, blah, blah. No, I don't care what pardons Donald Trump enacts. I don't care about whatever gamesmanship that they play. At a bare minimum, exposing their corruption brazenly in public, forcing them to talk about it on under oath, on camera, in front of the American people, in broad daylight, has to happen. We need to prosecute as many people as humanly possible in the Epstein files. We need to make sure that the American people see it. So at a bare minimum, we can keep these people away from our goddamn kids, because they're disgusting human beings, what they've done here, okay, to little girls and little boys. And we can make sure that the American people see that we are fighting to get their money back, to restore some semblance of justice. We have to break up these concentrations of wealth and power. It simply can't keep happening this way. Otherwise, we're just going to keep barreling out of control, okay? And I've been reading a lot about Teddy Roosevelt and what he did to break up monopolies and trust busting and stuff like that. And I think we need that. We have to, at this moment in time, and this is where I'll end it, guys, we have to combine the economic populism of FDR with the decentralization of power in this country of Teddy Roosevelt, his forebearer, okay? And I think we can do that in this moment in time. I think slowly but surely the Democratic Party is understanding that. And if we nominate the right candidates, if we continue to set the expectation of what we expect, because I've said to you guys before, all this talk on my channel, I can't speak for others, but on my channel about Epstein and accountability, it will not go away when Democrats win the midterms. It will not go away when Democrats win the presidential election in 2028. I will continue to talk about these things and hold my own party accountable. And I will be the first one with a pitchfork and a torch ready to go if my party is not interested in serious accountability and delivering for the American people. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and we're going to play this bullshit moderate DC game where we're not getting anything done. It can't happen again, because I believe that 4 years, 8 years, 12 years after that, we could be looking at a president, Nick Fuentes, or someone far worse than Donald Trump. Trump is not the bottom of the barrel. This thing can get a lot worse, a lot more embarrassing, and a lot scarier and dangerous if we hand the keys to an actual effective fascist. Because what we have is an incompetent fascist right now who only cares about himself, which is disgusting in its own right, but it can get worse if we don't do it right. And that's what we're building here on this channel. It's why I appreciate you guys so much. If this video was helpful to you, make sure that you're subscribed down below. Please engage, like, share, comment, hype. It all makes a huge difference. And then please do me a favor and click the little bell icon down below to get an update the next time we post. Thank you.